Kimi Antonelli has already won 6 races in the first 11 rounds of the 2026 Formula One season and built a 50-point championship lead, yet Mercedes still refuses to officially make him its #1 driver. That decision has become increasingly significant because Ferrari speculation around the 19-year-old Italian is growing at the same time. Antonelli is only in his second full Formula One season, but his results have already placed him at the center of the championship fight. He has taken 6 victories, while Mercedes has remained reluctant to formally prioritize him over George Russell. After the Hungarian Grand Prix, Antonelli led Lewis Hamilton by 50 points and George Russell by 59 points in the Drivers' Championship. The gap has become large enough to raise a direct question inside Mercedes: if one driver is consistently producing the stronger championship results, how long can the team continue treating both drivers equally? Antonelli's advantage could have been even greater without reliability problems earlier in the season. At Barcelona, he was running in second place when a technical failure ended his race with only a few laps remaining. The retirement prevented him from adding another major result to a run that had already established him as Mercedes' strongest championship contender. Silverstone also became another example of how reliability and race circumstances have affected his campaign, with Antonelli appearing to be on course for another strong result before problems intervened. The numbers are particularly important because Antonelli is achieving them at an age when most drivers are still developing their Formula One experience. He is not simply collecting occasional podiums, he has already become the driver with the strongest points position at Mercedes. 6 wins in 11 rounds gives him a substantial statistical advantage, and the 2026 season has repeatedly demonstrated that he can convert Mercedes' competitive car into victories. Mercedes, however, entered the season with George Russell as the more experienced driver. Russell had already established himself inside the team and was widely expected to play a major role in Mercedes' championship campaign. His season has instead been interrupted by a series of difficult incidents and technical problems. In China, Russell experienced a qualifying problem that compromised his weekend. In Japan, an untimely safety car affected his race. In Canada, Russell was leading when an engine or power unit failure forced him to retire, opening the door for Antonelli to take victory. In Monaco, penalties and race complications added further frustration. Then came Budapest, where Russell suffered another difficult opening phase and had to fight back rather than challenge for the victory. The contrast is now impossible to ignore. Antonelli is 50 points ahead of Hamilton and 59 points ahead of Russell, despite the fact that Mercedes has continued to provide both of its drivers with championship opportunities. Russell remains mathematically capable of recovering, but the standings have created a situation in which Mercedes has to decide whether equal treatment is still the most effective strategy. The comparison with McLaren provides an important warning. During the previous championship fight, the decision not to immediately prioritize Lando Norris or Oscar Piastri became a major talking point as Max Verstappen mounted his late title challenge. When two teammates are taking points away from each other while a rival continues collecting results, the absence of a clear internal priority can become strategically expensive. Mercedes is aware of that problem, but the team's position remains understandable. Bradley Lord, Mercedes' deputy team principal, has explained the logic behind maintaining flexibility. Formula One momentum can change extremely quickly. A driver who appears to have a major advantage after several races can lose that advantage through one retirement, one penalty, one technical failure or one poor weekend. Mercedes therefore wants both drivers available to win races. The immediate objective remains the Constructors' Championship, and the team does not want to sacrifice a potential victory simply because one driver has a points advantage. If Russell is in the stronger position during a particular race, Mercedes wants him to be able to win. If Antonelli is faster and capable of taking victory, the same principle applies to him. There is also another factor. Russell has already endured a difficult season, and publicly declaring Antonelli the chosen driver could add further pressure to a driver who is still mathematically involved in the championship. Mercedes does not want to create unnecessary tension between two teammates who are both capable of winning races, but that position becomes harder to maintain every time Antonelli wins. Mercedes has already seen what can happen when its two drivers fight aggressively. In Barcelona, Antonelli and Russell battled for position while Lewis Hamilton benefited from the fight and ultimately won for Ferrari. The incident forced Mercedes to consider how aggressively it should allow its drivers to race each other while rivals are waiting to capitalize. The situation becomes even more important because Ferrari is not simply a theoretical destination for Antonelli. He is Italian, he was born in Bologna, and he comes from the Emilia-Romagna region, which is closely associated with Ferrari and its Maranello base. There is also an unusual part of Antonelli's history with Ferrari. Reports have stated that Ferrari did not select Antonelli when he was around 12 years old, before Mercedes eventually brought him into its junior program. Former Ferrari team principal Maurizio Arrivabene has since explained that Antonelli was considered too young at the time, while other reports have discussed factors including his size, Ferrari's junior structure and sponsorship-related circumstances. There is no single confirmed explanation covering every reported detail, so those possibilities should not be treated as one established reason. What is certain is that Mercedes eventually made the decision that changed Antonelli's career. The organization backed him from a very young age, and that relationship ultimately led him to Formula One. Now, several years later, the driver Ferrari once passed over is one of the most valuable young talents in the entire sport. That is why the latest Ferrari speculation is so significant. Reports from Italy have suggested that Ferrari's ownership wants Antonelli to become a priority if an opportunity eventually develops. Leo Tuini, one of Italy's best-known Formula One journalists, has repeatedly highlighted the possibility of Antonelli becoming a Ferrari driver in the future. His reporting and commentary have kept the subject alive even while Antonelli remains under the Mercedes umbrella. Antonelli himself has been much more careful that he has described Ferrari as an immense team, but he has also maintained that nobody knows what the future holds. Those comments do not represent a confirmation of any Ferrari move. They instead show the careful position Antonelli has taken publicly: respect Ferrari, recognize its importance in Formula One, but remain focused on Mercedes. That loyalty is understandable. Mercedes signed Antonelli at just 12 years old, invested in his development and gave him the opportunity to reach Formula One. Antonelli has repeatedly demonstrated that he understands what the team has done for his career. His immediate objective remains winning as much as possible in silver, rather than publicly discussing a move elsewhere. Still, Ferrari remains a unique possibility because of what the team represents to an Italian driver. The Scuderia continues to attract some of Formula One's biggest names even after a long wait for another driver's championship. Lewis Hamilton made the move to Ferrari, demonstrating the scale of the attraction. Max Verstappen has also been connected with a possible Ferrari future around 2028, depending on his Red Bull situation and the competitive conditions at the time. Verstappen's position would depend heavily on whether Ferrari could provide him with a realistic opportunity to win championships. Lando Norris has